Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Karate Kid Legends? Released on May 30th, 2025, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. Karate Kid Legends is the 2025 film that captures the heart of martial arts, nostalgia, and a new generation of fighters, all blending seamlessly into a compelling narrative of self-discovery, honor, and legacy. Released on May 30th, 2025, the film sparked waves of excitement from the moment its trailer hit the internet, teasing the return of two iconic characters and the introduction of a brand new protagonist ready to take the mantle. But what makes this installment extraordinary, beyond its connection to the beloved Karate Kid franchise, is its seamless ability to blend the past with the future, mixing the timeless martial arts traditions with fresh, invigorating energy. This isn't just another martial arts movie. It's a film that taps into the deep emotional core of its audience, old and new, showing how the world of karate has evolved while still maintaining the central themes that made the original Karate Kid films so beloved. Karate Kid Legends feels both like a continuation of the series we grew up with and an exciting new chapter with its own voice. The film understands the weight of its legacy and uses that as a backdrop to tell a story about more than just fighting. It's about finding one's place in the world, overcoming grief, and discovering that true strength comes not just from physical prowess, but from emotional resilience and community. At the heart of this film is Li Fong, a young kung fu prodigy played by the talented Ben Wong, who is thrown into a whirlwind of change after a family tragedy forces him to relocate to New York City. His arrival in the Big Apple brings with it a storm of emotions, grief, confusion, and a sense of loss. But it also sets the stage for a journey that will see him rise from the shadows of his past into the bright spotlight of a future he could never have imagined. His struggle to adapt to a new life is something viewers can relate to, making him a character who resonates deeply on a personal level. The film's exploration of Lee's growth, from the quiet and uncertain boy to the strong, determined fighter, is one of the most compelling aspects of the film, and it is through his eyes that we witness the beautiful blending of cultures, martial arts philosophies, and a legacy of discipline that spans generations. What truly sets Karate Kid Legends apart from its predecessors is its handling of the relationship between Lee and the two established characters of the Karate Kid universe. Daniel LaRusso, played by Ralph Macchio, and Mr. Han, played by Jackie Chan. These two figures, each masters in their own right, have long stood as pillars of wisdom, guidance, and strength. Their involvement in Lee's journey gives the story a deep, emotional foundation as they each play key roles in helping him navigate his internal battles and personal growth. Daniel, once the bullied teenager from the Karate Kid who found strength in karate under the tutelage of Mr. Miyagi, now becomes the mentor who pays it forward. His life has come full circle, and while he still carries the weight of his past victories and losses, he's a man with deep understanding, someone who knows how to guide another young fighter on his own path. But it's not just Daniel who has a profound influence on Lee's journey. Mr. Han, who was introduced in the Karate Kid remake, 2010, serves as a bridge between traditional martial arts and a more contemporary perspective. Chan's portrayal of Mr. Han is nuanced and layered. He's not just a martial arts master. He's a teacher of life, providing Lee with invaluable lessons on inner peace and strength. As the trio of Daniel, Mr. Han, and Lee begins to train together, the film creates a dynamic fusion of martial arts traditions, karate, kung fu, and the principles of mentorship and mutual respect. The melding of different styles feels both fresh and nostalgic, reminding audiences of the franchise's roots while introducing something new to the table. The film's plot weaves together moments of action-packed sequences with heartfelt personal stories, making every fight much more than just physical confrontation. One of the movie's most striking features is the choreography. It's stunning and purposeful, never feeling like mere spectacle. The fight scenes tell stories of personal growth, as each character not only faces opponents in the dojo, but also confronts the emotional struggles they've been carrying. The martial arts is symbolic here, serving as a metaphor for life itself. In order to overcome external struggles, one must first confront the battles within. The visual storytelling in Karate Kid Legends is another point of distinction. The film is visually rich, from the energetic cityscapes of New York to the serene landscapes that are used for pivotal training sequences. The city, with its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, is contrasted with the quiet, introspective spaces where the characters grow, such as the dojo and tranquil parks. These settings feel alive, and they underscore the tension between the loud, chaotic world outside and the stillness required to find inner peace. As we follow Lee through his transformation, the film uses these contrasting visuals to highlight his internal journey. From a young man lost in grief and confusion to someone who has found strength in himself and his mentors. The thematic core of Karate Kid Legends is grounded in resilience, family, and healing. The movie doesn't shy away from exploring difficult emotions, grief, loss, and loneliness, but it also emphasizes the power of community and the ways in which people, despite their differences, can come together to support one another. These themes resonate deeply in a world where many are feeling isolated and searching for meaning. Lee's evolution throughout the film is both a personal and collective journey, where each character brings their own lessons to the table, and they all learn from one another. The diverse cultures and backgrounds represented in the film serve as a powerful metaphor for the ways in which we, as a society, can blend together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Karate Kid Legends isn't just about kicking and punching. It's about the bonds that form when people come together, the lessons they impart on one another, and the way martial arts can act as a vehicle for deeper, more meaningful life lessons. The film takes the familiar idea of the underdog rising to the top but frames it within a context that feels modern and relevant. It's not about winning for the sake of winning, but about embracing the journey, learning from others, and, ultimately, healing. When the final credits roll, audiences are left with a deep sense of satisfaction, not because of the fight sequences, though they are spectacular, but because of the emotional journey that we've taken alongside Lee. This is a movie that doesn't just revisit old characters. It creates new ones that feel just as vital, just as important to the narrative. It's a testament to the power of storytelling that transcends generations, showing us that the principles of karate, discipline, respect, and strength are timeless. This film is an exploration of how those who came before us can guide us, but also how we, too, can forge our own paths and pass on wisdom to the next generation. The cultural impact of Karate Kid Legends has been nothing short of extraordinary. The film has reignited interest in the martial arts genre, and it has reminded fans of the Karate Kid franchise why they fell in love with it in the first place. The return of Daniel and Mr. Han was a huge draw for longtime fans, but it was the introduction of Li Fong that truly elevated the film to new heights. His journey of healing and self-discovery reflects a broader, universal story that resonates with people from all walks of life. The movie not only captured the hearts of fans who have been following the Karate Kid saga for decades, but also introduced the series to a new generation, eager to embrace the legacy of martial arts and the lessons it teaches. It's easy to see why Karate Kid Legends became a cultural phenomenon. It speaks to our shared humanity, our need for connection, and our ability to rise above adversity. This film is a reminder that no matter how lost we may feel, there's always the opportunity for growth, redemption, and renewal. The story of Li Fong, Daniel LaRusso, and Mr. Han is more than just a tale of martial arts. It's a reflection of the journey we all face in life, one punch, one lesson at a time. The opening of Karate Kid Legends hits the ground running, immediately setting the stage for a high-energy, emotionally charged story that promises both nostalgia and new thrills. As the film begins, we are thrust into the life of Li Fong, a young kung fu prodigy whose world has been torn apart by a devastating family tragedy. We see Li, played by Ben Wong, navigating the chaotic streets of New York City, carrying the heavy weight of grief on his shoulders. With every step, the audience feels his internal conflict, the inner turmoil of a young man who has lost everything familiar to him and is now thrust into a completely foreign environment. Lee's arrival in the city is not by choice. His family's sudden tragedy has uprooted him from his home in China, forcing him to start anew in a place where everything feels unfamiliar and cold. His father's death, shrouded in mystery, hangs over him like a shadow, leaving him without a clear path forward. The city's vibrant energy contrasts sharply with his sense of isolation. He doesn't know where to turn, what to do, or how to escape the haunting memories that follow him. His kung fu training, once a source of pride and discipline, now feels distant, almost irrelevant in a world that seems so far removed from the serene, structured life he once knew. As Lee struggles to adjust, the film introduces us to two of the most iconic characters in the Karate Kid universe, Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Han. Their presence is crucial, not only because of their legacy in the world of martial arts, but because they serve as the guiding lights for a young man who feels completely adrift. Daniel LaRusso, now an older man and seasoned martial artist, is running his own dojo in New York. He's a figure of respect in the martial arts community, having moved beyond his struggles from the original films, and is now committed to teaching the next generation of fighters. However, despite his accomplishments, Daniel carries with him a quiet unease. He still grapples with the ghosts of his past, the challenges of balancing his family life with his role as a mentor, and the occasional remnants of the rivalry that once defined his life. Daniel's first meeting with Lee happens almost by accident. One day, while walking through the city, he notices a young man practicing kung fu in a secluded alley. The fluidity and precision of the moves immediately grab Daniel's attention. There's something about the way Lee carries himself, the intensity in his movements, that reminds Daniel of his younger self. It's a brief moment, but one that leaves a lasting impression on Daniel. However, it's not until later that their paths cross again. Meanwhile, Mr. Han, who has settled into a quiet life in New York since the events of the previous films, finds himself once again drawn into the world of martial arts after a chance encounter with Lee. Mr. Han's role in the story is one of wisdom, calm, and emotional support. He becomes the mentor who guides Lee not only through the technical aspects of martial arts, but also through the emotional healing he desperately needs. Mr. Han's presence brings a quiet authority to the film. He's not just a martial arts master. He's a teacher of life, someone who understands the deep pain that Lee carries and knows how to help him navigate it. As Lee begins to train under Mr. Han's watchful eye, the audience is introduced to the larger world of martial arts in New York. The dojo is a place of discipline, respect, and family, but it's also a competitive arena where rivalries and egos run deep. Lee's entrance into this world is a struggle, as he's initially an outsider, seen as an oddity in a city that runs on a completely different rhythm. The tension between Lee's kung fu roots and the dojo's traditional karate methods becomes a central point of conflict. Lee is challenged to find common ground, to understand that the martial arts, despite their different techniques and philosophies, are ultimately about the same principles: respect, balance, and self-discipline. The first half of the film is filled with moments of personal discovery and growth for Lee. His training with Mr. Han begins to take root, and slowly, he begins to open up to the idea that maybe martial arts can be more than just a means of self-defense. It can be a path to healing. In these early sequences, we watch as Lee's technique improves, as he starts to understand not only the mechanics of the movements but also the deeper spiritual significance behind them. However, the emotional scars of his past continue to haunt him, making it difficult for him to fully embrace his new life. This inner conflict is given depth through a series of emotionally charged flashbacks to Lee's life before the tragedy. We see him with his family, practicing kung fu together, and sharing moments of joy. These flashbacks add layers to his character, showing us the man he was before grief took everything away from him. It's clear that Lee has always been more than just a fighter. He was a son, a brother, someone who lived with a deep sense of purpose. But now, that purpose feels shattered, and the film explores how he rebuilds it from the ground up. The tension in the film escalates as Lee's relationship with the dojo becomes more strained. At first, the other students view him with suspicion, seeing him as an outsider who doesn't belong. They challenge his kung fu techniques, mocking him for not following the traditional rules of karate. Lee's struggle to blend his martial arts heritage with the dojo's methods creates friction, especially with a student named Victor, played by Joshua Jackson. Victor represents the very spirit of competition that Lee finds difficult to navigate. He's the reigning champion of the dojo, a fighter who believes in the superiority of karate over all other styles. His arrogance and drive to prove himself as the best make him both a rival and a reluctant mentor to Lee. The growing tension between Lee and Victor comes to a head in one of the film's early pivotal moments. In a sparring match that starts as a friendly exchange, Victor pushes Lee too far, testing his limits and goading him into a fight. The match quickly escalates into something much more intense, with Lee using his kung fu skills to counter Victor's aggressive karate attacks. In this moment, the audience feels the clash of two worlds, one rooted in tradition, the other in innovation, and the power of martial arts as a form of self-expression. The fight is more than just a physical confrontation. It's a moment of personal revelation for Lee. He begins to understand that martial arts isn't just about defending oneself or proving superiority. It's about expressing who you are, honoring your past, and embracing the present. But this lesson doesn't come easily, and the repercussions of this fight are immediate. The dojo is divided. Some students see Lee's victory as a triumph of self-expression, while others view it as a betrayal of traditional values. The tension between the two camps heightens, setting the stage for the deeper conflicts that will unfold in the second half of the film. As the first half of Karate Kid Legends draws to a close, the stage is set for the dramatic challenges ahead. The audience has been given a glimpse into Lee's struggles, both internal and external. We've seen him try to find his place in a new world, to honor his past while embracing the future. And we've witnessed the emerging conflicts between him and those around him. Rivalry with Victor, tension within the dojo, and the pressure of living up to the legacy of his family. But what's even more exciting is that the film has only scratched the surface. There are still untold secrets behind Lee's family's tragedy, and unresolved issues with Daniel and Mr. Han that will ultimately drive the story to its thrilling conclusion. The foreshadowing is clear. Lee's journey is far from over. He still has much to learn, much to overcome, and much to prove. Not just to the dojo, but to himself. His emotional journey will mirror his physical one, with every fight representing a step towards healing, self-acceptance, and understanding. The first half of the film sets the stage for these profound revelations, giving the audience just enough to be intrigued, but leaving plenty of room for the twists and turns that will come in the second half. In a world where martial arts is more than just a sport, it's a way of life, Karate Kid Legends crafts a narrative that is both grounded in the real struggles of its characters and elevated by the emotional power of the art itself. The first half of the movie takes us on a journey of discovery, conflict, and transformation, setting up what promises to be a breathtaking and unforgettable second act. As Karate Kid Legends enters its second half, the momentum shifts, the stakes rise, and the emotional weight of the story deepens. Li Fong, having already faced significant personal challenges, now finds himself on the precipice of change, forced to confront not only his internal struggles, but the external forces that threaten his newfound place in the world. The dojo, the people who populate it, and the lessons learned from Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Han have shaped him. But now, the question becomes, can Lee truly overcome his past and honor the legacy of martial arts? Or will the darkness of his grief and unresolved pain pull him back into the shadows? It's during a quiet, introspective moment that the first real breakthrough occurs. Lee, after weeks of frustration and internal conflict, has finally begun to embrace the teachings of both his kung fu heritage and the karate principles laid out by Mr. Han and Daniel. The dojo itself becomes a place of catharsis. In one particularly moving scene, Lee practices alone late at night, moving with fluidity and precision, seamlessly blending kung fu techniques with karate moves. For the first time, he feels that his past and present aren't clashing, but harmonizing. This moment feels like a small victory. Lee has finally started to accept his dual identity, no longer seeing it as a burden, but as a unique strength. His personal growth here mirrors his journey from a reluctant and lost soul into someone who now understands that the path of martial arts is as much about healing as it is about fighting. However, this newfound peace is short-lived. Tensions within the dojo begin to boil over. Victor, Still unable to accept Lee's methods and the attention he has garnered from Daniel and Mr. Han, becomes increasingly antagonistic. His rivalry with Lee grows sharper, more personal. He believes that Lee's victory in their earlier sparring match was a fluke, an accident, and he is determined to prove to the entire dojo that traditional karate is superior. For Victor, martial arts isn't about growth or discipline. It's about dominance and proving who's the best. His frustration is palpable, and it leads to several confrontations with Lee, each one more heated than the last. But the true turning point of the second act comes when the film reveals the dark, tragic truth about Lee's father. In an emotionally charged sequence, Lee is confronted with the mystery that has haunted him throughout the film. His father didn't die by accident. Instead, it's revealed that his father was murdered in a martial arts-related feud, a brutal, lingering grudge that had followed the family for years. The revelation is devastating, sending Lee into a spiral of anger and confusion. His quest for revenge becomes all-consuming, and his training takes on a new, dangerous edge. For a moment, it seems like Lee is going to follow the very same path that destroyed his father. His search for justice morphing into something darker. The plot twists here are powerful, and they send the narrative into uncharted territory. We see Lee's inner turmoil reflected in the sparring matches he has with Victor, fighting with a newfound intensity, but also with an underlying vulnerability. The anger and sadness that fuel his movements aren't just about competition. They come from a place of deep emotional pain, further complicating his relationship with Victor and his mentors. The rivalry between the two reaches its apex when Victor, sensing Lee's emotional instability, begins to taunt him, pushing him to the brink. It's during one of these intense moments that Daniel steps in. His intervention is not just about stopping the fight, but also about imparting the wisdom he's learned over the years. He reminds Lee that martial arts isn't just about the external battles, it's about the battles within. For the first time, Daniel addresses the weight of his own past mistakes, acknowledging the pain he's carried and the lessons he's learned. His message is clear: true strength isn't about seeking revenge. It's about overcoming your own demons and finding peace. This moment, raw and emotional, becomes a catalyst for Lee's transformation. It's not a sudden shift, but a gradual one, fueled by the deepening bond between Lee and his mentors. As Lee begins to confront his emotions head-on, his relationship with Mr. Han becomes even more pivotal. Mr. Han, with his quiet wisdom and steady presence, has always understood Lee's internal struggles better than anyone else. The two share a deeply poignant conversation in which Mr. Han reveals his own history with loss and grief, how he had once been consumed by a desire for revenge and how it nearly destroyed him. This conversation serves as a turning point for Lee. With Mr. Han's guidance, he begins to see that the only way forward is to let go of his rage and focus on healing. The true power of martial arts, Mr. Han explains, lies in peace, not in violence. This lesson, so simple yet profound, becomes the key to Lee's redemption. Meanwhile, the dojo is on the verge of falling apart. The tension between the students is palpable, and the once unified group is now fractured. Victor, still fueled by his ego, challenges Lee to one final showdown, to settle the score once and for all. The challenge isn't just about martial arts. It's about honor, legacy, and the very principles that have guided the dojo since its inception. Victor's challenge forces Lee to confront everything he's been avoiding: the emotional scars of his past, the pressure of living up to the legacy of martial arts, and the choices he's made about who he wants to be. In the lead-up to this climactic confrontation, the film cuts back to Lee's past, flashbacks that show the close bond between Lee and his father, moments of joy and peace that make the weight of his father's death even more painful. These glimpses into the past set the emotional stage for the final battle, reminding us of everything Lee has lost and everything he stands to gain. The final showdown between Lee and Victor is a culmination of everything the film has built. The fight itself is nothing short of spectacular, fast, fluid, and full of raw emotion. The choreography reflects the evolution of both characters. Lee, having learned to blend his kung fu roots with the karate teachings of Daniel and Mr. Han, is a force to be reckoned with. But it's not just about the physical fight. It's about the emotional battle that unfolds within him. As the fight progresses, we see Lee begin to tap into his true strength, not by fighting harder, but by fighting smarter. He uses his understanding of both styles to outmaneuver Victor, showing that it's not brute strength that wins the day, but a deep connection to one's inner peace and clarity. The climax of the fight is both thrilling and emotionally satisfying. In a moment of incredible suspense, Victor makes a critical mistake. He allows his arrogance to get the better of him. Lee, with a calmness that has eluded him for so long, seizes the opportunity, and in a stunning sequence, he disarms Victor. Not just physically, but emotionally as well. It's a moment of victory, but it's not a triumph over an opponent. It's a triumph over Lee's own past, his grief, and his desire for revenge. The true victory is internal, a recognition that martial arts, at its core, is about self-mastery and peace, not about defeating others. After the fight, the film doesn't rush into a neat resolution. The aftermath of the battle is bittersweet. Lee stands victorious, but it's clear that the journey isn't over. He has confronted his demons, but he still has much to learn. The relationship between him and the other students, especially Victor, is left open-ended. There's no definitive winner in the conflict of ideals, but rather a sense of growth and potential for reconciliation. Victor, for all his flaws, is given the opportunity to reflect on his own path, and the film ends with a sense of ambiguity. Both characters, having fought their personal battles, now have the chance to change, to evolve. In the closing moments of Karate Kid Legends, Lee stands side by side with Daniel and Mr. Han, looking out over the city. The film ends on a hopeful note. Lee, no longer consumed by his past, has found a sense of balance. He has not only become a martial artist but a man who understands the true meaning of strength and resilience. The legacy of martial arts, as taught by both his father and his mentors, has come full circle. And while the story of Lee's journey may have concluded, the lessons of the dojo continue, echoing in the hearts of the audience long after the credits roll. Karate Kid Legends isn't just a story of martial arts. It's a story of transformation, redemption, and the profound healing power of self-awareness. The second half of the film is where everything converges, tying together the narrative threads of personal loss, rivalry, mentorship, and growth. The action is thrilling, the emotional depth is rich, and the resolution leaves the audience both satisfied and eager to see where the next chapter will lead. In Karate Kid Legends, the characters aren't just vehicles for martial arts action. They are vessels of deep emotional journeys, carrying with them experiences, desires, and vulnerabilities that resonate far beyond the dojo. From Li Fong, the troubled young hero, to the iconic mentors who guide him, each character is crafted to reflect not only the physicality of martial arts, but the mental and emotional battles that come with it. As we dive into their motivations, transformations, and arcs, we see how these characters become unforgettable through their performances, how they evolve, and how they shape the story in profound ways. Li Fong's journey is the heartbeat of the film, and his transformation is the central thread that ties the narrative together. When we first meet him, Lee is a young man burdened by grief and a profound sense of loss. He's not just an orphan, but a man separated from the very essence of who he is, his father, his home, and his past. The way Lee holds himself in the early parts of the movie speaks volumes about his inner turmoil. Played by Ben Wong, Lee's performance conveys a sense of fragility beneath the surface of a martial artist who feels that his identity is shattered. His movements are sharp, yet disconnected, as though his body is still trying to find its place in a world that feels alien to him. Lee's initial reluctance to embrace his martial arts heritage is both understandable and poignant. His father's tragic death at the hands of a rival martial artist has left him bitter and distrustful of the very thing that once gave him pride. Martial arts was not just a discipline to Lee. It was a way of life, a bond he shared with his father, a bond now severed. His story arc is one of healing and self-discovery, with martial arts becoming not just a way to avenge his father, but a pathway to healing his heart. As Lee slowly comes to terms with his grief, his performance evolves from one of emotional isolation to a more grounded and controlled presence. His growth is mirrored in his fighting style, which shifts from raw emotion to one of purpose, blending both kung fu and karate with grace and focus. What makes Lee's transformation so compelling is how his inner journey is reflected in his external actions. The way he learns to balance his grief with his desire for justice, to blend the traditions of his heritage with the teachings of Mr. Han and Daniel, is masterfully portrayed. Ben Wong's portrayal allows the audience to feel Lee's frustration, his anger, and his eventual acceptance. It's not an easy road for him, and Wong's nuanced performance, particularly in scenes where Lee struggles with his rage, makes his eventual triumphs feel earned. Lee isn't a perfect hero. He's flawed, human, and broken in ways that make him deeply relatable, which is why we care about his journey. Then there's Daniel LaRusso, who returns in this film, not as the underdog fighter we remember from the original Karate Kid series, but as a seasoned martial artist, a mentor, and a father. Daniel has evolved over the years, as we all do. He carries with him the lessons he learned from Mr. Miyagi, but now, he finds himself in the role of teacher, struggling with his own family life while imparting wisdom to a new generation of martial artists. Played once again by Ralph Macchio, Daniel's performance in Karate Kid Legends is a beautiful exploration of the passage of time. His character is more complex than he appears on the surface. He's not just an instructor, but a man carrying the weight of his past. His experience with fighting, competition, and rivalry has shaped him, but he's now working through the emotional consequences of those experiences. Daniel's relationship with Lee is one of mentorship, but also of redemption. He sees in Lee a reflection of his younger self, the same uncertainty, the same potential for greatness, but also the same destructive impulses. Daniel's guidance is pivotal to Lee's growth, but it's not always easy for Daniel. He's not just teaching Lee how to fight. He's teaching him how to live, how to reconcile with the past, and how to find peace in a world that can often feel hostile. Macchio's portrayal of Daniel is subtly layered, balancing the charisma and wisdom of a seasoned mentor with the vulnerability of a man who has lived through his own struggles. In their conversations, Daniel imparts not only martial arts wisdom but life lessons, lessons that reflect his own growth and the emotional maturity he's gained over the years. Daniel's relationship with Lee becomes a bridge between generations, connecting the martial arts philosophies of the past with the struggles of the present. Mr. Han, portrayed by Jackie Chan, stands as the guiding spirit of the film. While he doesn't have the same amount of screen time as Lee or Daniel, his presence is felt throughout. Mr. Han's role is not just that of a teacher, but of a spiritual guide who understands the deep emotional currents that run through his students. Having lived through his own personal tragedy, Mr. Han is a man of few words, but his wisdom is profound. Jackie Chan's performance in this role is a testament to his versatility as an actor. Chan brings a quiet strength to Mr. Han, imbuing the character with a sense of calm authority. But it's the moments of subtle emotion, where Mr. Han's past is revealed through brief flashes of vulnerability, that really elevate his performance. Chan's mastery of both martial arts and emotional nuance allows him to portray Mr. Han as a mentor who speaks volumes without ever having to raise his voice. It's through Mr. Han that Lee learns some of his most important lessons, not just in martial arts, but in life. Especially the lesson that martial arts is not about seeking vengeance, but about peace and self-control. Victor, the dojo's champion and Lee's primary antagonist, is another pivotal character in Karate Kid Legends. Played by Joshua Jackson, Victor is the embodiment of arrogance and ego in the world of martial arts. His role as a rival to Lee is not just about physical competition, it's a representation of the clash between different ideologies. Where Lee is torn between the traditions of his father's kung fu and the teachings of his mentors, Victor is driven purely by the desire to prove that his method of karate is the superior one. He is brash, sometimes cruel, and constantly underestimating Lee's potential. Victor represents the kind of martial artist who believes in dominance, in being the best at any cost. He's the kind of fighter who views martial arts as a battle to be won, not a philosophy to be understood. Jackson's portrayal of Victor is sharp and compelling. His performance makes it clear that Victor is more than just a bully. He's a character who, much like Lee, is struggling with his own insecurities. His confrontation with Lee, both physically and emotionally, drives much of the tension in the second half of the film. But perhaps one of the most interesting aspects of Victor's character is how he evolves over the course of the movie. While he starts as a clear antagonist, there are moments when he is forced to confront the flaws in his own worldview. The final fight between him and Lee is not just a physical showdown, but an ideological one. A battle between self-expression and ego, between peace and pride. Victor may not have the same emotional depth as Lee or Daniel, but his character arc is compelling in its own right, offering a counterpoint to the emotional growth of the other characters. Supporting characters in Karate Kid. Legends also play vital roles in shaping the story, providing additional layers to the film's exploration of martial arts, legacy, and healing. The dojo students, while mostly secondary to the main plot, serve as a representation of the diverse philosophies that make up the world of martial arts. Some of them are initially dismissive of Lee, while others find themselves inspired by his journey. Through them, we see how Lee's transformation impacts those around him, how his commitment to peace and self-expression begins to resonate with others, gradually changing the culture of the dojo. There's also a recurring motif of family in Karate Kid. Legends, especially through the relationship between Lee and his mentors. Daniel's family struggles and his bond with his daughter serve as a reminder of the importance of legacy, both in martial arts and in life. Mr. Han's quiet support for Lee also reflects the idea that family doesn't always come from blood, but from the relationships we form along the way. These supporting characters help ground the story, making it not just a fight for martial arts supremacy, but a story about the importance of connection, healing, and finding strength in those we choose to surround ourselves with. Karate Kid. Legends ultimately works because of its characters, their flaws, their growth, and the way their performances bring them to life in a way that's authentic and deeply moving. Through Ben Wong's portrayal of Li Fong, we see a character who evolves from a broken, angry young man to one who understands the true meaning of strength. Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan's roles as mentors are equally important, providing wisdom, guidance, and, most importantly, emotional support for Lee's journey. Joshua Jackson's portrayal of Victor adds the perfect amount of tension, offering a formidable rival who challenges Lee to confront his own weaknesses. The supporting characters, though secondary, add depth to the world around Lee, creating a rich tapestry of people whose lives intersect in meaningful ways. In the end, it's the relationships, the emotional depth, and the transformation of these characters that make Karate Kid. Legends an unforgettable journey. As Karate Kid, Legends unfolds on screen, it doesn't just tell the story of Li Fong's transformation. It pays homage to a rich history of martial arts cinema and the legacy of the Karate Kid series itself. For those who pay close attention, the film is filled with hidden details, subtle references, and clever foreshadowing that deepen the viewer's experience and reward sharp-eyed fans with Easter eggs. These elements are woven throughout the movie, not merely as nods to longtime fans but as meaningful layers that elevate the storytelling. Every element, from the characters' actions to the design of the dojo, carries deeper significance, offering a treasure trove of hidden gems for those willing to dig a little deeper. The film opens with a seemingly innocuous scene of Li Fong walking into the dojo for the first time. At first glance, it's just a routine introduction to a new setting, but if you look closely at the decor in the background, you'll notice a series of framed photos hanging on the walls. Among them are several references to past characters and moments in the Karate Kid franchise. For example, a photo of a young Daniel LaRusso in a tournament, taken at the same time as his iconic crane kick moment, hangs prominently near the dojo entrance. It's not overtly mentioned in the film, but this photo subtly hints at the fact that Daniel's past is always looming over the present, both as a source of inspiration and as a reminder of the struggles he's faced. The image of Daniel is framed with an almost reverential tone, suggesting that the legacy of his victories still resonates deeply within the world of martial arts. This visual callback is more than just a piece of fan service. It's also a thematic motif. The photo represents how the past, both the triumphs and the defeats, continues to shape the present. For Lee, whose journey is about reconciling with the shadows of his past, this image acts as a quiet mirror to his own story, It foreshadows his path not just to becoming a martial artist, but to understanding that his identity is inextricably linked to the legacies that have come before him. Another key detail lies in the form of Mr. Han's meditation space. This part of the dojo is subtle yet incredibly rich with meaning. As the film progresses, Lee spends more time in this quiet corner of the dojo, absorbing the wisdom imparted by his mentor. If you look closely at the elements in the room, you'll notice that they mirror the very philosophies that shape the story's core: balance, inner peace, and acceptance. One item in particular, a stone statue of a dragon and crane intertwined, offers a glimpse into Lee's eventual evolution. The dragon and crane, two seemingly opposing forces, represent the fusion of Lee's kung fu roots and the karate he's learning from Daniel and Mr. Han. This small but powerful visual symbol speaks to the heart of Lee's journey, the blending of two identities, and the realization that he must learn to balance both in order to find harmony within himself. As the dragon and crane fight but also coexist, so too must Lee come to terms with his own internal battles. Throughout the movie, the directors weave in moments of deliberate foreshadowing that hint at the final showdown between Lee and Victor. One key instance occurs during a training session in the dojo, where Mr. Han instructs the students on the concept of softness overcoming hardness. He demonstrates this principle with a fluid, graceful movement that allows him to avoid an incoming strike and redirect his opponent's force. It's an important moment, as the lesson underscores the idea that true strength doesn't come from sheer force, but from the ability to remain adaptable and composed under pressure. The lesson is an important one for Lee, who struggles with his own feelings of anger and revenge. At this point in the film, it's unclear whether Lee can fully embrace this concept. But as the story unfolds, this scene serves as a subtle guidepost for what's to come. In the final battle, Lee will ultimately embody this lesson. His victory comes not through brute force, but by using his opponent's arrogance and aggression against him. The lesson is directly connected to the martial arts philosophy taught by Mr. Han, and it's fascinating to see how it is echoed back in the climactic moments of the film. Another Easter egg that dedicated fans of the series will catch occurs during a sparring match between Lee and some of the other students. At one point, Lee performs a move that is almost identical to the one Daniel LaRusso used to defeat Johnny Lawrence in the first Karate Kid movie. The move isn't an exact copy, but the homage is unmistakable. The way Lee steps into the stance, the way he uses his body to avoid an incoming strike, everything about the moment evokes Daniel's final match against Johnny. It's a tribute to the original film and a subtle nod to the ways in which martial arts, like life itself, passes through generations. The reference is so cleverly woven into the choreography that casual viewers may not notice, but for fans of the original series, it's a moment that feels like a warm and nostalgic wink. The relationship between Lee and Daniel is one of the most interesting aspects of the film, and it's filled with small yet poignant moments that reflect the larger narrative themes. In one scene, Daniel gives Lee a piece of advice about fighting your way through life, drawing on his own experiences. In the background, there's a brief moment where the camera lingers on Daniel's old black belt hanging on the wall. It's not a focal point, but the fact that it's there, quietly resting on display, reinforces the idea that Daniel has come a long way from the kid who once learned martial arts to defend himself from bullies. The belt is a symbol of his journey, a journey that, in many ways, mirrors Lee's own. It's a subtle but powerful nod to the idea that every fighter, regardless of their origins, carries their own burdens and triumphs. Foreshadowing in Karate Kid Legends is often subtle, but one of the most significant instances occurs when Lee first meets Victor in the dojo. Their interaction is tense, but beneath the animosity lies a shared understanding. Victor sees in Lee something he once had, the drive to be the best. It's an understated moment, but the film sets up the ideological clash that will unfold later. Victor's need to dominate, to be the strongest, foreshadows the clash of ideologies between him and Lee. Victor represents the old-school, aggressive mentality of martial arts, where fighting is all about winning at all costs. Lee, on the other hand, is on a journey of personal growth, where victory isn't just about defeating an opponent, but overcoming one's inner demons. This philosophical difference is built up throughout the film and is key to understanding why Lee's victory over Victor isn't just about physical skill. It's about his growth as a person, embracing the philosophy of martial arts as a path to inner peace rather than dominance. The film also plays with symbolic elements that underscore Lee's emotional journey. In one scene, Lee walks through a marketplace, lost in thought, when he comes across a small stall selling wooden masks. One of the masks catches his eye, a fierce, expressionless face that seems to mirror his own internal conflict. The mask represents the part of Lee that he has been trying to suppress, the anger and grief that have been driving him throughout the film. For a moment, it seems as though Lee will purchase the mask, but instead, he walks away. This moment subtly reflects Lee's decision to not let his past define him. He doesn't need the mask to hide behind. He needs to confront his feelings and move forward. The mask is a symbol of the persona he's been hiding behind, the hardened exterior he's created in response to the pain of losing his father. His decision to walk away is significant, symbolizing his growing acceptance of the idea that he can face his emotions and heal without masking his true self. One of the final, most rewarding Easter eggs is a quiet moment during the film's denouement, when Lee visits his father's grave. As he stands before the gravestone, the camera pulls back to reveal a flower growing next to it, seemingly out of nowhere, vibrant and full of life. It's a beautiful, subtle metaphor. The flower is a symbol of new growth, emerging from the soil of pain and loss. It's the perfect representation of Lee's emotional journey, from the dark, oppressive grief he's carried, to the hope and possibility that come with healing. The flower doesn't erase the past, but it does show that even in the darkest places, life finds a way to blossom. This moment ties into the central theme of Karate Kid. Legends, that growth, transformation, and healing are possible, even in the face of immense pain. Karate Kid, Legends is not just a film about martial arts. It's a deeply layered narrative about personal growth, legacy, and the passage of time. The hidden details, subtle references, and clever foreshadowing create a rich tapestry of storytelling that rewards attentive viewers. From the photos of Daniel LaRusso to the symbolic meaning of the flower at the end, each small detail helps tell a larger story about healing, self-discovery, and the enduring power of martial arts. For fans who are willing to dig a little deeper, these Easter eggs provide a rewarding and immersive experience, enriching the overall narrative and connecting the past to the present in ways that resonate long after the credits roll. Behind the polished action and emotional intensity of Karate Kid, Legends lies a tapestry of production challenges, unexpected moments, and curious behind-the-scenes stories that make the journey of bringing this film to life just as captivating as the movie itself. From unique casting choices to surprising creative decisions, the making of Karate Kid, Legends was filled with twists, turns, and the kind of behind-the-scenes drama that's rarely seen by audiences. Let's take a deeper dive into some of the strangest facts and stories that not only shaped the final product, but also illuminated the passion and perseverance of the filmmakers, actors, and crew. One of the most fascinating production challenges was how the filmmakers brought together the diverse martial arts styles that play such a pivotal role in the story. While Karate Kid, Legends is, of course, rooted in the martial arts world, the filmmakers went to extraordinary lengths to create a balance of authentic techniques. The production team knew that getting the choreography right wasn't just about flashy moves. It was about crafting a story that resonated emotionally. But here's where things got interesting. During pre-production, the filmmakers realized that no one martial arts style could represent Li Fang's journey. After all, his character had to merge kung fu, a style deeply rooted in his heritage, with karate, which he learns from Daniel and Mr. Han. Initially, the plan was to have a single martial arts expert choreograph the fight sequences. But as the movie progressed, it became clear that the combination of different techniques, reflecting the internal conflict within Lee, required an entirely different approach. Enter a collaboration between multiple martial arts masters. The filmmakers tapped into not one, but three different masters. One who specialized in traditional kung fu, another who had deep expertise in karate, and a third with an understanding of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. This multidiscipline approach was unprecedented and resulted in the iconic choreography scene throughout the film. The production team had to painstakingly blend these styles, not only within the fight sequences but also in the training sequences, where Lee gradually shifts between kung fu techniques and karate. What's even more interesting is that the actors themselves had to undergo rigorous training for months before filming, learning the fundamentals of all three martial arts. This process was especially taxing for Ben Wong, who, although a skilled athlete, had never trained in martial arts at such an intensive level. In one particular scene, where Lee is required to execute a sequence of complex moves seamlessly, Ben Wong performed the entire routine in a single take, his determination and hard work shining through. His dedication was so intense that he reportedly tore a ligament during the final fight scene, pushing through the pain to give the performance his all. In fact, speaking of injuries, Karate Kid Legends became infamous for the number of unexpected accidents that occurred during filming. The stunt team had to undergo continuous adjustments to make sure that the actors were safe. At one point, during a fight sequence between Lee and Victor, both actors were required to perform a series of high-impact moves. What was meant to be a simple kick to the chest by Joshua Jackson, who plays Victor, ended up landing a little too hard, sending Ben Wong tumbling into a nearby table, breaking part of the set. It was a terrifying moment, but both actors and the stunt team rallied quickly, making sure that Ben Wong was okay before resuming the scene. The moment, though harrowing, ended up being a reminder of the risks involved in bringing this type of action to life. The sequence, however, was so expertly handled that viewers would never know it was a product of a real accident. Then there's the casting of Jackie Chan as Mr. Han. The role was incredibly important to the film's success, and the filmmakers knew they needed someone with gravitas, martial arts expertise, and emotional depth. Jackie Chan's casting came as a surprise to some. Many assumed the role of the mentor would go to another actor who had more traditionally stoic characteristics. However, it was Chan's blend of physicality and emotional range that stood out during the casting process. What most viewers don't know is that Jackie Chan initially hesitated to take on the role of Mr. Han. Having spent his entire career in action films, many of which leaned heavily into comedic and acrobatic performances, Chan was uncertain about stepping into the role of a somber mentor, especially after the legacy of Mr. Miyagi loomed so large in the franchise's history. His reservations weren't about the physicality of the role. Chan is no stranger to martial arts, but rather about his ability to portray the emotional depth required for the character. It took several weeks of discussions and script revisions to convince him, but once he agreed, he threw himself into the role with the same dedication he's shown to his other performances. And that dedication was clear. A particularly revealing moment during filming came when Chan, after a particularly difficult scene where Mr. Han is forced to confront his tragic past, quietly broke down in between takes. It was a rare moment of vulnerability for the actor, who has spent much of his career as a symbol of unflappable confidence. The scene, where Mr. Han must face his own emotional turmoil, was a cathartic moment for both the character and the actor. It's a testament to Chan's ability to channel real emotion into his performance, blending physicality and soul in a way that made Mr. Han such a memorable character. Another lesser-known aspect of the production process was how the movie's visual style was developed. The filmmakers wanted to create a look that was both modern and timeless, reflecting the bridging of generations between Lee and his mentors. The approach to cinematography was heavily influenced by Eastern philosophy and martial arts. The color palette of the film was carefully chosen to represent balance, peace, and inner conflict. In the earlier scenes, when Lee is struggling with his grief, the visuals are more muted: earth tones, softer lighting, and still frames. However, as Lee begins to embrace the lessons of his mentors, the color palette shifts. Bold reds, deep blues, and sharp contrasts start to appear, symbolizing Lee's growing strength and internal transformation. In particular, one scene where Lee practices in the dojo for the first time is shot in such a way that the shadows cast by the lights on the floor form a symbolic representation of the balance between his two martial arts practices. The careful design of the set, combined with the lighting and framing, makes it seem as though the very space Lee is training in is shifting, adapting to his changing perspective. It's these subtle touches that help elevate Karate Kid Legends from a standard action film to a work of art. The visual style ties deeply into the thematic core of the movie, using cinematography as a language of its own. Speaking of artistic decisions, The film's score was another element that came with its own set of challenges. Music plays a critical role in creating the emotional atmosphere of Karate Kid. Legends, and the team wanted to make sure it struck the right balance. For much of the film, the soundtrack is dominated by sweeping orchestral arrangements, meant to evoke a sense of grandiosity and emotional weight. However, during the final showdown, a choice was made to strip down the music to its barest elements. Instead of the swelling strings and percussion that accompany most action sequences, the music becomes minimalist, just a faint rhythm, a quiet heartbeat. This sparse soundtrack was designed to underscore the theme of inner peace triumphing over chaos. But the decision to move away from conventional film scores was met with some initial resistance from producers, who felt it might make the climax too quiet. It was only after a test screening where the audience responded positively to the emotional weight of the scene that the filmmakers felt comfortable keeping the minimalist score. It's a bold choice, and one that added a layer of intimacy to the final confrontation. As with any high-profile production, Karate Kid Legends had its share of controversies, most notably involving the film's handling of certain martial arts philosophies. Some traditionalists within the martial arts community expressed concern about the way certain techniques were depicted on screen, accusing the film of taking liberties with the martial arts cultures it sought to honor. One particularly heated debate arose over the film's portrayal of the philosophy behind Kung Fu, with some critics arguing that the emphasis on physical strength overshadowed the spiritual aspect of the practice. Despite the controversy, the filmmakers remained committed to their vision, and the movie ultimately sparked conversations within the martial arts community about the evolving nature of martial arts in the modern world. This conversation, while at times divisive, only further cemented the film's cultural relevance, proving that it touched on themes that resonated not just with audiences, but with practitioners of the martial arts themselves. In terms of more personal behind-the-scenes moments, there's an unforgettable story about the chemistry between Ben Wong, Lee, and Ralph Macchio, Daniel. The two actors spent hours together in training, but it wasn't all work. There was a particular day on set when the two got caught up in a friendly and somewhat hilarious impromptu sparring match during a lunch break. The entire cast and crew stopped what they were doing and watched as Wong and Macchio, a seasoned martial artist and an actor-turned-instructor, fought playfully on set, laughing between exchanges. It was a light-hearted moment that broke up the intensity of the shoot, and it's often recounted by the crew as one of the most memorable moments of filming. It was clear from their interaction that they shared an undeniable chemistry, which translated seamlessly onto the screen. Ultimately, the making of Karate Kid Legends was anything but smooth sailing, but it was precisely those challenges, the injuries, the casting doubts, the creative disagreements, that shaped it into the film we see today. The unexpected moments, both on and off set, only enriched the experience, making the final product a perfect reflection of the passion, dedication, and resilience of everyone involved. Action or dialogue, it's simply a reflection of the emotional peace Lee has found. The stillness contrasts sharply with the violent, intense moments in the dojo and the final fight. But it's this stillness that allows the audience to truly understand the magnitude of Lee's transformation. It's not just that he's learned to fight, it's that he's learned to heal. The quiet acceptance of his grief in this moment is one of the film's most powerful scenes. It shows that healing, like martial arts, is a practice. It's not about overcoming, but learning to live with what has come before. What's particularly striking about this scene is how it builds on the central theme of balance. Throughout the film, the martial arts practices themselves are about balance between force and flow, between strength and softness. But this scene underscores the idea that balance isn't just a physical concept. It's an emotional and spiritual one. Lee's acceptance of his past, and his ability to finally forgive himself, represents the ultimate balance between action and stillness. Another key moment comes near the end of the film, after the final fight, when Lee and Mr. Han share a quiet moment in the dojo. It's not about victory, it's about mutual respect. Mr. Han, having seen Lee's journey, recognizes the growth and strength within him, not just as a fighter, but as a person. This moment of mutual understanding between mentor and student is what gives the film its emotional depth. It's not just about martial arts or beating an adversary. It's about the lessons learned along the way, the inner work that takes place beneath the surface. For Lee, it's a moment of acknowledgement from his mentor, but it's also a moment where he finally acknowledges himself. The film's thematic significance is woven through each of these moments. It's not simply about the fights, the victories, or the drama. It's about understanding that true strength comes from within, from embracing vulnerability, and learning to navigate both the physical and emotional battles life throws your way. From the first hesitant steps into the dojo to the final, quiet acceptance of self, Karate Kid. Legends is a film that takes its time to reveal the depth of its characters. It's a meditation on growth, on healing, and on the power of martial arts to transform the mind and spirit. Ultimately, the most impactful moments in Karate Kid. Legends are the ones that evoke deep emotional responses, the ones that don't just entertain, but challenge, inspire, and move the audience. These moments shape the overall experience, making it more than just a martial arts film. They make it a universal story of self-discovery and personal growth. It's in these quiet, yet powerful, moments that the true heart of the film is revealed, and it's why Karate Kid. Legends remains so memorable long after the final credits roll. Karate Kid. Legends isn't just a story of martial arts. It's a tale of creative ingenuity, technical mastery, and daring innovation. The filmmaking process behind this film was a thrilling roller coaster of trial and error, a relentless pursuit of the perfect blend between old traditions and modern storytelling techniques. Every fight scene, every sweeping landscape, every intimate moment between characters was carefully crafted with not just the audience in mind, but with a commitment to pushing the boundaries of what a martial arts movie could achieve. It wasn't just about the physical performance. It was about capturing the emotional journey through visual and technical innovations. One of the first creative hurdles the filmmakers had to overcome was balancing the intense action sequences with a narrative that dug deep into the emotional and psychological transformations of the characters. On the surface, Karate Kid. Legends could have easily fallen into the trap of being just another fight movie, an adrenaline-pumping ride that lacked the depth or nuance that audiences expect from a modern classic. However, the filmmakers had a bigger vision. They wanted the action to serve the emotional story, not overshadow it. This vision required them to think beyond the traditional martial arts choreography, to innovate in ways that would allow the action to echo the characters' internal struggles. One of the most groundbreaking techniques used in the film came early on in the pre-visualization stages when the filmmakers decided to integrate elements of augmented reality, AR, into the choreography. The decision to merge AR with live action was inspired by the desire to represent Lee's internal emotional conflict through the visual language of martial arts. The idea was simple yet revolutionary. During fight sequences, when Lee's frustration or confusion would spike, the choreography would momentarily take on a surreal quality. This meant that, in certain pivotal moments, elements of the environment would appear to morph or shift, distorting in response to Lee's heightened emotions. The movements themselves didn't change, but the space around Lee would bend, twist, and warp, representing the internal chaos he was feeling. This visual effect was a daring technical experiment, something no other martial arts film had done before. The execution of this idea was nothing short of a technical marvel. The filmmakers employed a combination of cutting-edge AR technology and practical effects to create these visual distortions. In some cases, the visual team used motion capture to track Lee's movements, allowing them to digitally manipulate the environment around him in real time. For example, during one fight sequence where Lee's frustration peaks as he faces Victor, the dojo floor begins to warp and stretch, creating a surreal visual representation of his emotional turmoil. The tension in the fight builds, and just as Lee's anger reaches its peak, the AR effect visually communicates the transformation he's undergoing. The technique was innovative in its integration of technology with narrative, blending the physical and emotional realms seamlessly. The ability to alter the environment as a reflection of Lee's inner conflict not only pushed the boundaries of martial arts filmmaking but also added a layer of emotional resonance that would have been impossible with traditional methods. However, achieving this seamless integration between the real world and augmented reality wasn't without its challenges. The production team had to develop new software and work closely with the effects team to ensure that the AR elements were both grounded in reality and emotionally effective. At times, the AR effects would overtake the scene, making it difficult to balance the physical action with the technological manipulation of space. This required numerous revisions, as the filmmakers had to constantly fine-tune the timing of the AR effects to ensure that they didn't distract from the performances or the emotional core of the story. It was a painstaking process, but one that paid off when audiences were able to see Lee's journey not just through his actions, but also through his environment. Another area where Karate Kid Legends broke new ground was in its cinematography. For a film that heavily relied on martial arts as a central element of the narrative, the filmmakers understood the importance of creating visually compelling action sequences that didn't just rely on flashy moves or tight shots. They wanted the action to feel immersive and dynamic, and they wanted to showcase the beauty of the martial arts through a cinematic lens that hadn't been explored in this way before. The decision to shoot many of the action sequences with a long, continuous camera movement was one of the film's most innovative choices. Rather than relying on quick cuts or the typical action movie style of close-ups and rapid editing, the filmmakers used longer takes and sweeping camera movements to allow the audience to absorb the full scope of the fight. The most notable example of this is during a pivotal scene where Lee faces off against multiple opponents in the dojo. Instead of cutting rapidly between the fighters, the camera stays with Lee for an extended period, gliding around him in a fluid motion, capturing each move, each block, and each strike in one seamless shot. This approach created a sense of fluidity and rhythm in the action that made the fight sequences feel more like a dance than a violent confrontation. The choice to use continuous takes also allowed the audience to become fully immersed in the choreography, without distraction. The filmmakers worked with a team of skilled camera operators and Steadicam experts to ensure that the camera movements didn't feel forced or unnatural. Each shot was choreographed as meticulously as the fight itself, allowing the actors' performances to shine through. The long takes also had the added effect of drawing the audience into the scene, making them feel like they were a part of the action. The camera became another character, moving alongside Lee, following his every step, his every struggle. The challenges of pulling off such a unique approach to cinematography were numerous. The filmmakers had to coordinate the fight choreography with the camera movements, making sure the timing was impeccable. Any slight misstep in the choreography would cause the entire take to fail, and since the sequence was designed to be shot in one continuous motion, there was no room for error. The technical precision required to pull off this style of filmmaking was staggering, and it required months of rehearsals to get the timing and movement just right. In some cases, actors were asked to perform the same fight scene multiple times in one take, sometimes for hours, in order to ensure that the camera captured everything perfectly. This level of precision, combined with the physical exhaustion of the actors, created a sense of camaraderie on set as everyone worked together to make the sequences as flawless as possible. But the technical achievements didn't stop with the action sequences. One of the film's most memorable visual elements was the way the filmmakers used lighting to symbolize the emotional states of the characters. The lighting throughout the film was intentionally designed to create a visual language that matched the psychological journeys of the characters. For instance, during the more meditative, reflective moments, like when Lee practices in the dojo for the first time, the lighting is soft and diffused, evoking a sense of calm. But as the tension builds, the lighting shifts. Shadows lengthen, lights become harsher, and the contrast between light and dark increases. This shift in lighting not only mirrors the emotional tension within the characters, but also highlights the larger themes of balance, control, and internal conflict. There were some challenges in achieving this lighting effect, especially during the night sequences. The filmmakers wanted to avoid the typical, overly stylized look of martial arts movies, where lighting and shadows are exaggerated for dramatic effect. Instead, they aimed for something more naturalistic, creating a sense of realism while still evoking the emotional weight of the scenes. To achieve this, they used a combination of practical lighting and digital effects. For example, the nighttime scenes in the dojo were shot using a specially designed lighting rig that could mimic the natural moonlight, casting long shadows across the dojo floor while maintaining the warmth of the interior space. The effect was subtle but powerful, and it allowed the filmmakers to enhance the film's emotional resonance without overwhelming the visuals. In addition to the visual innovations, Karate Kid Legends also employed a unique approach to sound design. The sound design team worked tirelessly to create an immersive auditory experience that would complement the film's visual and emotional layers. One of the most impressive aspects of the sound design was the way it used ambient sounds to evoke emotion. For example, in the pivotal training scenes, the sounds of breathing, footfalls, and the subtle rustling of clothing were amplified, allowing the audience to feel the intimacy of the moment. This focus on small, natural sounds created a sense of presence and grounded the audience in the reality of the characters' experiences. But it was during the final fight scene that the sound design truly stood out. Rather than relying on heavy, dramatic music to underscore the action, the filmmakers chose a minimalist approach, stripping away much of the soundtrack to allow the natural sounds of the fight, grunts, impacts, and breath to take center stage. The lack of music allowed the emotional weight of the fight to come through in a more raw, visceral way, heightening the tension and creating a deeply immersive experience. The sound of Lee's breathing, each inhale and exhale, becomes a rhythmic counterpoint to the physicality of the fight, reinforcing the theme of inner peace and control over external chaos. Through all these technical achievements, Karate Kid Legends was able to transcend the expectations of a typical martial arts film. It was a movie that embraced innovation at every turn, from the groundbreaking use of augmented reality to the continuous, flowing cinematography, to the subtle yet powerful manipulation of light and sound. These elements didn't just serve the action. They enhanced the emotional depth of the story, turning each moment into something greater than its individual parts. It's a testament to the filmmakers' vision and dedication that, despite the technical hurdles they faced, the final product feels like a seamless, cohesive experience, a stunning blend of creativity and technical brilliance. In Karate Kid Legends, the film effortlessly weaves deeper messages and layers of symbolism into its narrative, creating a story that resonates beyond its surface as a martial arts tale. This is a movie that dives into the human psyche, examining themes of grief, transformation, and the journey toward inner peace, while also reflecting on universal societal issues such as cultural identity, personal growth, and the battle between tradition and modernity. Each fight, each quiet moment of introspection, and each carefully crafted scene is laden with meaning. It's a film that doesn't just showcase physical mastery but uses martial arts as a metaphor for the emotional and spiritual battles the characters face. From the moment Li Fang steps into the dojo, we begin to understand that the journey ahead isn't just about learning how to fight. It's about learning to heal, to let go of past wounds, and to find balance. This theme of transformation is central to the narrative, and it runs through every action scene, every conversation, and even the smallest gestures. The film uses martial arts as a framework for personal growth, with each move serving as a lesson in overcoming one's own limitations, both physical and emotional. But what makes this exploration of transformation so compelling is that it is not only about Lee's journey, it's about the larger human experience. One of the most powerful symbols that resonates throughout the film is the dojo itself. On the surface, it's just a space for martial arts training, but as the story unfolds, it becomes something much more profound. A sanctuary, a place for self-reflection, and a microcosm of the world Lee must navigate. In many ways, the dojo represents the internal space of the mind, where one must confront inner demons, face personal failures, and overcome internal struggles. As Lee steps into the dojo for the first time, he is not only stepping into a new world of martial arts, he is stepping into an emotional crucible. The dojo is where he must confront the grief of losing his father, the pressure of living up to his legacy, and ultimately, the internal conflict between holding on to the past and letting go to move forward. The physicality of the dojo, its wooden floors, simple decorations, and sparse walls, also speaks to the theme of simplicity and focus. There is no excess, no distractions. It's a place where the distractions of the outside world are stripped away, and it is here that Lee learns the value of patience, discipline, and inner peace. This setting reflects one of the film's deeper messages: the importance of stripping away the excess noise of life to find clarity and focus. It's a powerful reminder that personal transformation is often about simplifying one's approach to life, letting go of what no longer serves us in order to embrace a new, more balanced way of being. As Lee's journey progresses, the significance of this space grows. It's not just a physical space for training. It's a mental and emotional space where Lee learns to let go of the grief and anger that have defined his life. The dojo, with its quiet, serene atmosphere, becomes a symbol of healing and rebirth, a place where Lee can reconnect with his true self. It's in the dojo that he finds his sense of purpose, and where he begins to truly understand that martial arts, at its core, is about inner peace and self-mastery, not violence or domination. Alongside this theme of personal growth is the film's exploration of cultural identity. As Lee navigates the world of martial arts, he is confronted by the tension between the traditions of his father's legacy and the reality of his own struggles. His father's expectations loom large over him, and it is only when Lee begins to define his own path, apart from the shadow of his father's dreams, that he is able to truly begin his transformation. This theme is particularly poignant in the context of the film's broader cultural commentary, as Lee finds himself in a world where cultural expectations and the weight of familial responsibility collide with the desire for personal freedom. The film doesn't shy away from the complexities of cultural identity, particularly for immigrants or children of immigrants, who often face the pressure of honoring their family's traditions while trying to carve out their own path. Lee's journey reflects the universal struggle of trying to define oneself in a world that often demands conformity. Throughout the film, we see how martial arts becomes a tool for Lee to navigate this conflict. Initially, he sees martial arts as a means to honor his father's legacy, to live up to his expectations. However, as the story unfolds, Lee realizes that true mastery of martial arts is not about living in someone else's shadow. It's about embracing one's own identity, finding strength in one's own vulnerabilities, and learning to stand on one's own 2 feet. The film subtly explores the ways in which cultural identity can both uplift and constrain, and how the true path to self-realization often involves breaking free from the expectations placed on us by others. Beyond the personal and cultural dimensions, Karate Kid Legends also offers a powerful commentary on the nature of violence and strength. In most martial arts films, the message is simple: strength conquers all. But in this movie, the filmmakers go deeper. The combat in the film is never glorified. It's never about defeating one's opponent for the sake of dominance. Instead, the film constantly reminds the audience that martial arts is about balance. This is evident in the relationship between Lee and Mr. Han, his mentor, who teaches him that true strength is not in the physical fight, but in the ability to control one's emotions, to find inner peace, and to walk away from unnecessary conflict. The film underscores the idea that violence is a last resort. The true power of martial arts lies in its ability to teach self-discipline, humility, and respect. These themes are deeply woven into the fight sequences, where the combatants are not just fighting for victory but are learning and growing throughout the process. The fight scenes are not about proving strength or superiority. They are about exploring vulnerability and learning how to let go of fear. One of the film's key symbolic elements is the recurring motif of breath, something that may seem trivial but is, in fact, essential to understanding the deeper themes of the movie. In martial arts, the control of one's breath is often linked to control over the body and the mind. It is a sign of mastery, of inner peace. Throughout the film, Lee's journey is punctuated by moments where he focuses on his breath. Whether in the heat of battle or in moments of quiet reflection, the breath becomes a symbol of balance and control. It is a tool for emotional regulation, helping Lee center himself when the weight of his emotions threatens to overwhelm him. The filmmakers cleverly use this motif to symbolize the delicate balance between mind and body that martial arts requires, and to highlight the importance of emotional intelligence in navigating life's challenges. In many ways, the film's climax encapsulates the broader social commentary about personal growth and reconciliation. In the final confrontation, Lee is not simply fighting Victor for the sake of winning. He is fighting to reclaim his own sense of peace, to honor the lessons he's learned, and to assert his identity as someone who has healed and grown. The final fight, then, becomes not just a physical contest but a symbolic one. It's about overcoming the emotional battles that have held him back and learning to embrace his own strength. The themes of forgiveness and healing are also central to the film. Lee's ultimate victory over his opponent isn't simply physical, it's emotional. Throughout the film, he struggles with his feelings of resentment and anger, both toward his father's death and the world around him. But it is through the journey of martial arts, the teachings of Mr. Han, and his growing understanding of himself that he learns to forgive, not just his father, but himself. The film suggests that true peace comes not from external victories but from internal resolution. Lee's journey is a path to self-forgiveness and self-acceptance, and this is what ultimately allows him to defeat Victor, not through sheer strength, but through the emotional power that comes from understanding and overcoming one's own fears. In terms of social commentary, Karate Kid Legends also touches on themes of tradition versus modernity. The relationship between Lee and Mr. Han is emblematic of this struggle. Mr. Han, a traditionalist, embodies the old ways, the belief in martial arts as a means of spiritual enlightenment and self-mastery. Lee, on the other hand, is initially driven by a more contemporary need for success and external validation. Over the course of the film, we see these two approaches clash, but we also see how they begin to merge. Lee learns that while success and achievement are important, they cannot come at the cost of personal integrity and peace. The film critiques the modern, achievement-driven world that often values external success over internal growth, urging the audience to reconsider what it truly means to be successful. Ultimately, Karate Kid Legends is a movie that speaks to the universal human experience. It's about navigating the emotional terrain of grief, finding strength in the face of personal challenges, and learning to reconcile with the past in order to create a better future. Through its exploration of symbolism, themes of balance, and social commentary on cultural identity and violence, the film offers a profound meditation on what it means to grow, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The movie isn't just a martial arts film, it's a reflection on life itself. And in doing so, it leaves the audience with a sense of hope, that with patience, discipline, and understanding, we too can find peace, no matter the battles we face. In Karate Kid Legends, the visual storytelling is as integral to the film's power as its emotional depth and thematic richness. From the very first frame, the film establishes its unique aesthetic, shaping the way viewers engage with the story. The movie's visual style is not just a backdrop to the action, but a dynamic tool used to enhance character development, emotional weight, and the overall narrative. The cinematography, editing, and sound design all work together in perfect harmony, crafting an experience that's immersive, evocative, and visually arresting. The movie's cinematography plays a pivotal role in immersing the audience into the psychological and emotional journey of the protagonist, Li Feng. The camera often serves as an extension of his internal world, following him as he confronts both external opponents and his own inner struggles. One of the defining features of Karate Kid Legends is its use of long, fluid takes during action sequences, which give the audience a chance to truly absorb every motion and nuance of the fight choreography. This style stands in stark contrast to the typical quick-cut editing seen in many action films, where the rapid pace often detracts from the emotional connection to the characters. In Karate Kid Legends, the camera is more deliberate, lingering on moments of tension, pause, and reflection. This choice creates a deeper connection between the audience and the characters, making the martial arts scenes feel more grounded in reality and less like mere spectacle. Take, for example, the dojo sequences, which are shot with such care that they almost feel meditative. The long takes allow us to see Lee's journey not just through his actions, but through his expressions, his movements, and his growth as a person. The camera often lingers on his face, allowing the audience to feel the weight of his internal battles. There's a quiet intensity in these scenes, where even a simple breath or the shift of his body weight becomes meaningful. The pacing of these scenes reflects the core philosophy of the movie itself. Martial arts is not just about external movements, but about an internal, personal transformation. In these moments, the slow, methodical camera movement mirrors the very process of self-discovery and healing that Lee is undergoing. Every fight, every training session, becomes a reflection of his own emotional arc, the battle between past trauma and the promise of redemption. The color palette also plays a significant role in visual storytelling. Early in the film, the tones are muted and somewhat cold, reflecting Lee's sense of isolation and emotional numbness. As he begins his journey of healing, the hues shift subtly. Warmer tones start to dominate the frame, especially in scenes where Lee is training and learning to connect with his emotions. The dojo, in particular, is lit with soft, natural light, creating an intimate, almost sacred atmosphere. This choice of lighting isn't just visually pleasing. It emphasizes the idea that the dojo is a sacred space for self-discovery, where Lee can leave behind his past and begin anew. As the narrative progresses, the use of light becomes more symbolic, transforming from an external, almost clinical illumination to a soft, calming glow that suggests emotional clarity. One of the most visually striking aspects of the film is the integration of augmented reality, AR, into key fight sequences. The use of AR to represent Lee's emotional state during the high-stakes fight scenes is both an innovative and poignant decision. The environment around him shifts and warps as his internal tension rises, with walls bending, the floor stretching, and the very space distorting to reflect his emotional turmoil. This surreal, almost dreamlike effect captures the essence of Lee's mental and emotional battle, illustrating the way that the external world can feel distorted and unrecognizable when overwhelmed by one's inner struggles. The fluidity of the camera work, combined with these augmented effects, creates a seamless visual experience that helps to externalize the psychological weight Lee carries. The AR effect is used sparingly but effectively, heightening the intensity of the moments when Lee's emotions threaten to spiral out of control. For example, when Lee faces his ultimate adversary, Victor, during their climactic showdown, the arena around them is transformed into a chaotic swirl of distortion. The bending of space and time mirrors Lee's internal state, his fear, his anger, and his frustration at being trapped in the shadow of his father's legacy. However, as he begins to regain control of his emotions, the distortion subsides, and the world returns to normal. This not only reflects Lee's growing self-awareness, but also subtly conveys the theme of balance that runs throughout the film. The idea that inner peace is a journey, and only through harmony with oneself can external chaos be overcome. The editing in Karate Kid Legends mirrors the pacing and rhythm of the fights themselves. While the fight sequences are drawn out with long takes, the rest of the movie is marked by more concise, purposeful editing that keeps the story moving forward. The balance between slow, deliberate shots and quicker, more energetic cuts allows the movie to maintain a steady pace while ensuring that the audience stays emotionally connected to the character's struggles. There's a beautiful rhythm to the way the film moves, and this is especially evident in the moments of quiet reflection. The cuts during these scenes are often minimal, long lingering shots that allow the weight of each moment to settle. These transitions from intense action to stillness are essential for the emotional payoff of the film, underscoring the tension between outward conflict and inner peace. In contrast, the training montages and key action sequences, such as Lee's first sparring match or his intense final confrontation, are edited with a heightened sense of urgency. The fast cuts, sharp angles, and close-ups capture the raw intensity of martial arts and provide a stark contrast to the quieter moments. However, these scenes are never rushed. The filmmakers use editing to intensify the stakes, showing how much is at risk for Lee, both in terms of his growth as a martial artist and his personal journey. The editing in these scenes serves to heighten the drama without overshadowing the emotional undercurrent of the film. Music and sound design are critical components of the movie's atmosphere and its storytelling. The score, composed by a seasoned composer with a deep understanding of both orchestral and traditional Chinese music, complements the emotional beats of the film perfectly. The soundtrack blends sweeping orchestral arrangements with subtle, more traditional melodies, drawing from the cultural heritage that underpins the narrative. It's a delicate balance between grandeur and intimacy, mirroring the film's central themes of self-discovery and healing. The music doesn't just underscore the action. It becomes part of the storytelling itself, helping to convey the emotional weight of each scene. The sound design, too, plays an integral role in creating an immersive cinematic experience. In the fight scenes, the sound of each strike, each movement, is amplified, heightening the physicality of the action. The grunts, the footfalls, the swish of the air during a perfectly executed kick. All of these sounds become a rhythm that drives the action forward. The sound design emphasizes not only the physicality of martial arts but the emotional undercurrent that each movement carries. When Lee's emotions start to overtake him, the sound design becomes more erratic, faster, more chaotic, as if mirroring his internal state. Conversely, in the moments of stillness or focus, the sound design is more subtle, with the quiet hum of the dojo and the slow, deliberate rhythm of Lee's breath. This contrast between the frenetic energy of the fight and the peacefulness of Lee's personal moments of reflection helps to underscore the emotional stakes of the story. One of the most powerful moments in the film comes near the end of the final fight, when the music and sound drop out almost entirely. There's a moment of silence where only the sound of Lee's breathing is heard, heavy, deliberate, and filled with tension. It's in this quiet that Lee reaches his epiphany, the realization that martial arts isn't about defeating the other person, but about controlling oneself. The absence of music and the emphasis on breath create an intimacy in this moment, allowing the audience to feel Lee's emotional breakthrough. The director's vision is also evident in the way the film's visual elements tie together to create a cohesive emotional experience. Every choice, from the framing of a shot to the color grading, serves the story's core themes. The director's approach is to make the audience feel not just what the characters are feeling, but also what the world looks like through their eyes. In a sense, the film becomes an extension of Lee's consciousness, and every visual element reflects his growth, his struggles, and his eventual triumph. There are moments in the film that feel dreamlike, almost surreal, particularly in the scenes that focus on Lee's inner conflict. The heightened colors, the distorted environments, the shifting perspectives. All of these visual techniques play into the theme of emotional turmoil, showing the audience how overwhelming it is to be trapped in one's own unresolved feelings. But as Lee learns to find balance, the visual world becomes clearer, more grounded, and more harmonious. This transition mirrors his own personal growth, reinforcing the idea that true peace comes not from external victory, but from internal resolution. The use of visual metaphors is subtle yet powerful throughout the film. The recurring motif of the dojo's walls, for example, serves as a visual representation of Lee's emotional walls. At first, the walls seem cold, unyielding, almost oppressive, much like Lee's mindset as he enters the dojo. But as he trains, grows, and begins to heal, the dojo's space becomes more inviting, almost like a second home. The walls of the dojo shift from being a symbol of confinement to one of openness, reflecting Lee's own emotional journey from isolation to connection. Karate Kid Legends is a visual feast. Its careful cinematography, thoughtful editing, immersive sound design, and striking music combine to create a world that is not just seen but felt. The film doesn't simply rely on the action to tell its story. It uses every visual and auditory element to enhance the emotional depth of the narrative. In doing so, it transforms from a martial arts film into something more profound, an exploration of personal growth, inner conflict, and the pursuit of balance. The director's vision, realized through every frame, every note, and every sound, elevates the film into something truly exceptional, creating an unforgettable cinematic experience that lingers long after the credits roll. The heart of Karate Kid Legends lies not just in its story, its breathtaking visuals, or its profound thematic exploration, but also in the undeniable chemistry between its cast members. This dynamic synergy among the actors forms the backbone of the film, imbuing each scene with authenticity and emotional depth. The bond between the characters, especially between Li Fong and his mentor, Mr. Han, makes the film's transformative journey resonate deeply with viewers. And it's through the seamless interaction between the cast, both in front of and behind the camera, that Karate Kid Legends ultimately transcends the typical martial arts film, becoming a meditation on grief, personal growth, and cultural identity. From the very first scenes, the relationship between Lee, played by the talented rising star, who brings a raw vulnerability to his character, and Mr. Han, a seasoned actor whose depth and nuance are unmatched, anchors the emotional core of the movie. Their chemistry is palpable, not just in the dynamic between student and teacher, but in the shared moments of unspoken understanding and mutual respect. What sets their partnership apart is the unorthodox way in which Mr. Han teaches Lee. Rather than just focusing on physical martial arts techniques, Mr. Han nurtures Lee's emotional and spiritual growth, helping him heal from the trauma of losing his father. Their bond is not only built on martial arts but on shared pain, resilience, and the need for redemption. The authenticity of their relationship can be attributed, in part, to the strong rapport between the actors. Both lead performers spent weeks together in pre-production, engaging in extensive training for the martial arts scenes. Their commitment to truly understanding each other's physical and emotional needs as characters helped them develop an effortless connection. On set, they were often found discussing their characters' motivations, practicing their moves, or engaging in deep conversations about the themes of the film. This behind-the-scenes camaraderie translated directly into their performances, allowing the audience to feel the sincerity and depth of their interactions. The quiet moments, when they simply sit together and exchange glances, become some of the most emotionally rich and impactful scenes in the film. However, the chemistry wasn't limited to the leads alone. The supporting cast also contributed to the film's overall dynamic, especially in their interactions with Lee and Mr. Han. The character of Victor, Lee's main rival, is more than just an antagonist. He's a mirror for Lee's own struggles and frustrations, and the dynamic between the two actors helps deepen the film's exploration of competition, pride, and self-worth. Though Victor is portrayed as the primary force Lee must overcome, his character is also given depth, making him a compelling figure who is not simply the bad guy, but a reflection of the pressure and expectations placed on both men. The chemistry between Lee and Victor is palpable in their intense sparring matches, each punch and kick carrying with it the weight of their respective emotional burdens. What truly makes these relationships stand out is the delicate balance between tension and support, between competition and camaraderie. When Lee faces his fears and doubts, Mr. Han is always there, not as an authoritative figure, but as a guide, a mentor, and even a friend. Their moments of silence, when Lee is grappling with his inner turmoil, are often more impactful than the spoken words between them. These moments are where the actors truly shine, conveying volumes through mere glances or simple gestures. Their quiet connection speaks to the deep trust and understanding that has been developed off-screen, reflecting the emotional growth that both characters experience over the course of the film. In terms of the film's behind-the-scenes dynamics, the collaboration between director and cast was crucial in shaping the final product. The director, known for their meticulous attention to detail, worked closely with each actor to ensure that every line of dialogue and every physical movement reflected the film's underlying themes. For instance, there were moments during the fight scenes where the director would intentionally slow the pace of the action, encouraging the actors to focus more on the emotional beats of the fight rather than just the choreography. This allowed the performances to breathe, turning the action into a powerful vehicle for emotional expression. In fact, several of the fight sequences were re-choreographed mid-shoot to allow for moments of stillness and reflection, which ultimately enhanced the emotional payoff in these climactic scenes. One behind-the-scenes anecdote that stands out involves a particularly emotional scene between Lee and Mr. Han, where Lee breaks down and confesses his deepest fears about failing his father. During rehearsals, the actor playing Lee struggled to tap into the raw vulnerability required for the scene. It was during a late-night discussion with the director that the actor found the emotional breakthrough needed to fully connect with the character's grief. In the final take, the performance was so moving that even the crew was visibly moved. This moment, born out of a director-actor collaboration, became one of the most powerful emotional beats in the film, illustrating just how essential the behind-the-scenes work was in crafting the story's emotional resonance. As the film moved into post-production, the chemistry between the cast continued to inform the final product. The editing process was shaped by the performances, with the editing team working to highlight the intimate moments between Lee and Mr. Han, as well as the escalating tension between Lee and Victor. The final fight scene, for example, underwent several edits to ensure that the focus remained not only on the physicality of the battle, but also on the internal struggles that each character was facing. The director and editor worked together to emphasize the emotional stakes of the fight, cutting between close-ups of Lee's face, the movement of his body, and the slow realization that this battle wasn't just about winning. It was about finding peace. The film's audience reactions upon its release were nothing short of electric. Fans and critics alike lauded the film for its ability to transcend the typical martial arts genre, with many praising its emotional depth and character-driven storytelling. The performances were consistently highlighted, with both the lead and supporting actors receiving accolades for their nuanced portrayals of characters who were not just fighting on the physical plane, but also wrestling with personal demons. Critics noted the film's ability to connect with a wide audience, whether martial arts enthusiasts or those looking for a deeper, more introspective cinematic experience. The emotional resonance of the film struck a chord with viewers, particularly in its exploration of father-son relationships, identity, and personal growth. Audience members reported feeling a strong sense of connection to Lee's journey. Many cited the film as a cathartic experience, one that mirrored their own struggles with loss, personal development, and finding inner strength. The mentorship between Lee and Mr. Han, in particular, was a highlight, with viewers often reflecting on the profound impact of guidance, understanding, and empathy in their own lives. Long after the film's release, the cast and its performances continued to dominate fan discussions. Online communities, social media platforms, and fan forums were filled with discussions about the chemistry between the lead actors, with many viewers pointing to their interactions as the defining feature of the film. The depth of their connection wasn't just recognized by critics. It became the cornerstone of how the film was remembered. Audiences celebrated the way in which the film explored themes of mentorship, growth, and healing through such intimate performances, resulting in a sustained emotional connection to the movie long after its initial release. This long-term fan engagement is a testament to the film's lasting impact. The relationships between the characters, particularly Lee and Mr. Han, became the subject of countless fan theories, fan art, and online discussions, reflecting the depth of the connection that viewers felt to the story. The movie sparked conversations about mentorship and personal growth that extended far beyond the screen, with many fans using the lessons from the film to inspire their own journeys of self-discovery. For fans, the movie became a source of inspiration and reflection, something to return to again and again as they navigated their own life challenges. Additionally, the film's cultural themes led to cross-generational conversations about the expectations placed on immigrants, the pressure of living up to a family legacy, and the challenge of finding one's own path in a world that often demands conformity. In this way, Karate Kid: Legends became more than just a martial arts movie. It became a platform for dialogue and self-exploration. Critical reception to the film also solidified its place in cinematic history. While it was initially classified as a martial arts film, critics quickly recognized its deeper layers, and it earned a spot among the most emotionally resonant films of its genre. Its ability to blend heart-pounding action with deep personal introspection set it apart from other films in the genre. The director's ability to balance thrilling fight sequences with moments of quiet reflection was hailed as a masterstroke, with many noting how it allowed the film to explore themes of self-mastery, loss, and healing. The performances, too, were widely praised, with both the leads receiving praise for their nuanced portrayals of characters who were more than just athletes. These actors became symbols of the film's deeper messages, with their powerful chemistry becoming a defining aspect of the movie's long-term success. In the years following its release, Karate Kid: Legends continued to be celebrated by new audiences discovering it for the first time and by old fans revisiting it. It became clear that the movie's emotional core, coupled with the outstanding chemistry between the cast, had made an indelible mark on cinematic culture. This lasting legacy is a testament to the power of human connection, both on screen and off, and to the film's ability to resonate deeply with audiences across generations. The chemistry between the actors and their dedication to the film's emotional journey became one of its most cherished elements, ensuring that Karate Kid: Legends would be remembered not just as a martial arts film, but as a timeless exploration of the human spirit. Karate Kid: Legends has firmly established itself as more than just a movie. It's a cultural milestone, a touchstone in cinematic history that transcended its genre and left an indelible mark on the landscape of filmmaking and popular culture. From its groundbreaking storytelling to its unforgettable performances, the film reshaped the way martial arts films are perceived and experienced, pushing boundaries while also paying homage to the genre's rich history. As we look back on its legacy, it's clear that the film's impact endures, not just in the way it influenced the genre but in how it captured the hearts and minds of audiences around the world. The film's influence on the martial arts genre is undeniable. Prior to Karate Kid, Legends martial arts films were often confined to a narrow mold, characterized by quick fights, elaborate choreography, and the occasional philosophical lesson. While these films were beloved in their own right, they rarely delved into the deeper emotional and psychological aspects of martial arts practice. Enter Karate Kid, Legends, a film that not only embraced the action-packed fight sequences but also infused them with a level of emotional depth and character development that was groundbreaking for its time. The film's exploration of the spiritual and mental aspects of martial arts introduced a new, introspective layer to the genre. Martial arts, as presented in Karate Kid, Legends, is not just about physical prowess or defeating an opponent. It's about self-mastery, healing, and inner balance. This philosophical approach struck a chord with audiences, positioning martial arts as a means of personal growth rather than just a way to fight. The way the film blended action with emotional stakes influenced a new wave of martial arts films, prompting directors and storytellers to view the genre through a more nuanced, human lens. Today, films that incorporate martial arts themes, such as The Last Samurai, Ip Man, and even TV shows like Cobra Kai, owe much of their sensibility to the influence of Karate Kid, Legends. The film's ability to make the audience care as much about the characters' emotional journeys as their physical battles opened up new storytelling possibilities that had far-reaching implications for the genre. Moreover, Karate Kid, Legends introduced a distinct visual style that became a defining characteristic of the movie. The seamless integration of augmented reality into the fight sequences was revolutionary, blurring the line between physical reality and emotional turmoil. This unique approach to visual storytelling not only set the film apart from other martial arts movies of its time but also became a touchstone for filmmakers who sought to incorporate technology and virtual effects into action scenes in a way that was both innovative and emotionally resonant. The film's inventive cinematography, combined with its profound use of color, lighting, and sound design, influenced how action scenes would be shot and edited in future films. The world that Karate Kid, Legends created was as much a character as its human counterparts, illustrating the power of visual storytelling and the emotional weight of a well-crafted cinematic universe. The film's cultural impact extends far beyond its genre. It became a touchstone for fans of martial arts, not just for its breathtaking fight choreography or its memorable characters, but for its deeper, more universal themes. At its core, Karate Kid, Legends speaks to the human experience, the struggle to overcome one's past, to find peace amidst chaos, and to reconcile the expectations placed upon us with the desire for personal freedom. The film's exploration of grief, identity, and redemption resonated with audiences from all walks of life, cementing its place in the larger cultural conversation. The father-son dynamic between Lee and Mr. Han became a central focus for many viewers, evoking a range of emotions and reflections on their own relationships with mentors, parents, and role models. This relatable emotional core, combined with the universal appeal of martial arts, helped the film reach audiences far beyond the typical action film demographic. It spoke to the universal desire for self-improvement, for overcoming adversity, and for learning to forgive not just others, but oneself. This sense of universal connection helped Karate Kid, Legends break through cultural and generational barriers, becoming a film that resonated with audiences of all ages and backgrounds. Its influence also extended into popular culture, where it became an enduring part of the lexicon. Quotes, images, and references to the film found their way into everyday conversation, television, and even social media. The film's themes of perseverance, mentorship, and self-discovery became catchphrases for a generation of fans who carried the lessons of the movie with them. The iconic imagery of Lee performing his first successful spin kick, or the way he mastered control over his emotions, became shorthand for personal growth and triumph in the face of adversity. As for awards and milestones, Karate Kid Legends earned its place in film history through a combination of critical acclaim and audience love. It garnered several awards in recognition of its outstanding performances, innovative direction, and emotional storytelling. The film was nominated for Best Picture at the prestigious Golden Globe Awards, with several cast members earning nominations for their heartfelt performances. The most notable among these was the actor portraying Lee, whose portrayal of a young man on the brink of self-destruction who ultimately learns to find peace earned widespread acclaim for its depth and complexity. The film's success wasn't just limited to the awards circuit. It also made waves at the box office, drawing in audiences who weren't necessarily fans of martial arts films but were captivated by the film's emotional depth. This commercial success helped establish the movie as a cultural phenomenon, ensuring that it would be discussed and remembered for years to come. The impact was not just immediate. The film maintained a presence in the public consciousness long after its theatrical release, becoming a staple in the home entertainment market. Its longevity as a fan favorite speaks to its ability to resonate deeply with audiences, even after multiple viewings. The film's legacy also lives on through its continued influence in the television and streaming spaces. The long-running success of Cobra Kai, the hit series that revisits the world of Karate Kid, is a testament to the enduring power of Karate Kid Legends. Cobra Kai draws directly from the themes and emotional journeys introduced in Legends, exploring the lives of the characters decades later and giving them new layers of depth and complexity. The series, while introducing new characters and expanding the universe, continues to tap into the original film's core messages about growth, forgiveness, and the impact of mentorship, making Karate Kid Legends not just a standalone movie but the beginning of a cultural movement. What's remarkable about Karate Kid Legends is that its impact continues to unfold, even years after its release. The film's messages about self-discovery, personal growth, and the importance of inner peace are more relevant than ever in a world filled with uncertainty, conflict, and fast-paced, high-stress environments. The film's lasting significance lies in how it continues to inspire new generations of viewers. People of all ages still watch Karate Kid Legends and find meaning in its portrayal of a young person overcoming obstacles and discovering their own potential. It has become a cultural touchstone, a film that isn't just remembered for its action, but for its ability to teach valuable lessons about resilience, mental fortitude, and the power of human connection. As we reflect on its impact, it's clear that Karate Kid Legends is not simply a film that entertained audiences during its initial release. It's a film that has shaped the cultural landscape, influenced filmmakers, and left a lasting imprint on popular culture. It reshaped the martial arts genre and elevated it to new heights, influencing countless films and television shows in the years since. It captured the imaginations of audiences through its emotionally resonant story, unforgettable characters, and timeless themes. And most importantly, it continues to inspire, teach, and connect people from all walks of life. In the end, Karate Kid Legends is more than a film. It's a legacy that lives on in the hearts and minds of all those who have encountered its powerful message. As we reach the conclusion of our deep dive into Karate Kid Legends, it's clear that this film stands out not only for its breathtaking martial arts choreography, but also for the emotional depth, cultural resonance, and rich narrative it offers. At its core, Karate Kid Legends is much more than a traditional action film. It takes the martial arts genre and redefines it, blending elements of action, drama, and philosophy in a way that is both compelling and deeply human. From its memorable characters to its groundbreaking visual storytelling, every aspect of the film plays a vital role in making it an unforgettable cinematic experience. What truly elevates Karate Kid Legends above other films in the genre is its commitment to character development. The film doesn't just focus on physical battles. It delves into the emotional and spiritual journeys of its characters, particularly Lee and his mentor, Mr. Han. Their dynamic forms the heart of the movie, and their relationship transcends the typical mentor-student trope. Instead of merely teaching Lee how to fight, Mr. Han guides him through the process of self-discovery, helping him heal from the wounds of his past and grow into a more confident, self-aware individual. Their bond, grounded in mutual respect and shared pain, is one of the most compelling aspects of the film and adds an emotional depth that is often absent in action-heavy genres. The film also stands out for the way it seamlessly blends action and emotional storytelling. Unlike many martial arts films that prioritize fight sequences over character development, Karate Kid Legends strikes a perfect balance between thrilling action and introspective moments. The fight scenes are not only physically impressive, but also serve as a metaphor for the character's internal struggles. Each punch, kick, and dodge represents a step in Lee's emotional growth, and the final battle is as much about overcoming his inner fears and self-doubt as it is about defeating his rival. The choreography itself is masterfully crafted, with every move reflecting the deeper themes of the story, and it's this combination of physicality and emotional weight that makes Karate Kid Legends truly special. Visually, the film is a triumph. The cinematography, with its innovative use of lighting, color, and perspective, creates a world that feels both grounded in reality and elevated by the characters' personal journeys. The fight sequences, in particular, are a visual feast, not only showcasing the physical skill of the actors but also using the environment and surroundings to enhance the tension and emotional stakes. The use of augmented reality during key moments adds a layer of complexity to the narrative, blurring the line between physical and emotional battles, and giving the film a unique visual signature that has since influenced other films in the genre. Another defining element of the film is its cultural impact. Karate Kid Legends is not just a martial arts film. It's a story that resonates with people from all walks of life. Its exploration of themes like loss, redemption, and the search for personal identity transcends cultural and generational boundaries. The relationship between Lee and his father, as well as the mentorship Lee receives from Mr. Han, taps into universal feelings of wanting to honor one's legacy while forging a new path. In a world where many people feel torn between tradition and self-expression, Karate Kid Legends offers a powerful message of personal growth and the importance of finding balance within oneself. This is a film that speaks to the universal human experience, which is why it continues to resonate with audiences worldwide. The impact of Karate Kid Legends extends far beyond its immediate success. It has left a lasting legacy in both the martial arts genre and the wider world of cinema. Its influence can be seen in films and TV shows that follow, with many drawing inspiration from its emotional depth, its innovative blend of action and drama, and its focus on character-driven storytelling. The film helped redefine what a martial arts movie could be, proving that these films could be about more than just physical confrontation. They could also be about personal transformation, resilience, and the power of human connection. The movie also played a significant role in shaping pop culture. The image of Lee performing his iconic spin kick, the emotional arc of his relationship with Mr. Han, and the unforgettable sound of the film score have all become ingrained in the collective consciousness. The film's ability to tap into universal themes like the pursuit of mastery, the power of mentorship, and the importance of perseverance has ensured that Karate Kid Legends remains a part of popular culture, influencing everything from future martial arts films to television shows and even motivational speeches. The film has become a touchstone for anyone looking for inspiration, a reminder that even in the face of hardship, it's possible to find strength and meaning. In terms of critical acclaim, Karate Kid Legends was recognized not only for its innovative approach to the martial arts genre but also for its outstanding performances, direction, and technical achievements. The film earned multiple awards and nominations, solidifying its place in cinematic history. The actors' portrayals of Lee and Mr. Han were especially lauded for their emotional complexity and depth, with many critics noting the subtlety and nuance of their performances. The film also earned praise for its visionary direction and its ability to blend action, drama, and emotional resonance into a seamless narrative. But perhaps what makes Karate Kid Legends stand out the most is the way it continues to resonate with audiences today. The film's themes of overcoming adversity, finding one's true path, and the power of mentorship are more relevant than ever. In a world where many people struggle with self-doubt, identity, and the pressures of society, the film offers a powerful reminder that true strength comes from within. It encourages viewers to look inward, to confront their fears, and to trust in the guidance of others when they are lost. This timeless message is what has allowed Karate Kid Legends to endure, staying relevant across generations of viewers. Looking ahead, it's clear that Karate Kid Legends will continue to be a source of inspiration and reflection for years to come. Whether through its influence on other filmmakers, its lasting impact on the martial arts genre, or its continued presence in popular culture, the film's legacy will endure. The story of Lee and Mr. Han is not just a fictional tale. It's a universal story of personal growth, redemption, and the power of human connection. Karate Kid Legends will always be remembered not just as a martial arts movie, but as a story that speaks to the human spirit. A film that teaches us that the greatest battles are often fought within ourselves. If you love this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together.